Okay, today is the 23rd of November, and this is part D. So if you have not viewed A, B, and C, make sure you watch those first. Real quick. Okay. This right here. I want to talk about this real quick because I won't get a chance to talk about it at a later date. Anytime in the past where I've noted no sleep, it means exactly that. It means I had no sleep at all. Just when I created this here, over the last few, a couple days ago, I began to put how they were manipulating. I added in the difference, what made this type of no sleep different than having no sleep at all. So there'd be like a 2-hour time frame where there would be short periods of dozing, that I was constantly woken out of or something like that. So that's why it's noted different than in the past, because it is different than just the normal no sleep that I normally get. They're gonna start acting up and getting loud because I'm recording this video. Watch this. Okay. Okay. What is parallel reality? Keep in mind what I'm going to disclose about the topic will differ from what mainstream discloses about the topic, because I'm going to reveal the hidden aspect, how the phenomenon is being used covertly. This is a very heavy topic, so I want to make one thing very clear. I am not introducing you to demonic presences. My only intent is to inform you of how this scientific expression affects your lives, because it does. In order to view this topic correctly, you must know the many ways in which it exists. This, like magic, is a form of witchcraft that involves spelling and cursing. Another occult topic that was undergoing the process of being normalized. Hold on 1 second. They bent my glasses real bad again this morning. This is where I'm at the library. Sometimes, like that vehicle is, they'll come so it appears we're near. They're lying about what it is, but there's a lot of activity going on around me. And the activity, okay, I'll get into the activity in a short while here, but the main thing, okay, so look, when a lot of agents show up in one place, it's because they're trying to keep me from getting anything done. So they all make the same sort of indirect attacks, the same sort of direct energy weapon attack on top of the type of attack that's being made to the clone. So when they find out that I'm able to focus in this type of situation, like either they all run off and try to disassociate themselves. They act like I'm never here because they know I'm always here a long time. Or they always end up leaving. So in a short while here, like they just flooded in a little bit ago, they'll take off. But these identities also, they do different things. Look, because I'm telling, they do different things with these identities. Some serve as, saying or claiming that I know and I am in touch with folks that I'm not. And others are in place to suggest that I'm somewhere I'm not, if that makes any sense. So if they're saying that I'm at the hospital, which is what they always call the library, and the only part of, that's too much information. Let me get back to this outline. So most of the time, anyhow, I said I was about to get back to this outline. Okay. Uh-oh, that's not supposed to happen. Let me pause. Okay, so I'm going to start over with the second paragraph. This, like magic, is a form of witchcraft. Except for it involves cursing and spelling. You've always heard of, someone being cursed, a curse being applied, someone being under a spell. That's exactly what parallel reality is about. In older videos, you heard me reference it as them being under suggestion. Like them placing someone under the wrong suggestion or the wrong impression. That's what the spelling and cursing does. It affects how someone sees and views you. And oftentimes, if the effect, to get the desired outcome, I talked about this as well, the agent shows up itself and uses the identity. So it's an occult tactic that was undergoing the process of being normalized. The photo speaks for itself. We all have a few universal positions: standing, sitting, laying, bending, and squatting. You can be and have been caught in these positions your entire life. So that's an example. Imagine, I don't have a pointer, but imagine the photo on the left being what someone is seeing. Wish I could. Okay, I don't have that portion of the hard copy on me, but imagine the photo on the left being the position that you're in. However, what government agents are showing is the picture in the rear, you being in that position. And much worse, the picture on the left is not even a reflection of reality because they changed the background on it. Same goes for the picture in the rear. They might have changed the background on that one to align it with reality, or actually suggest that you're somewhere completely different. Okay, so you get where I'm going with that. You can be and have been caught in these positions your entire life. Parallel reality is the manipulation of you in those positions by changing the background, suggesting you're somewhere that you're not, suggesting you're doing something that you're not. Magic Pixels is a magic trick. It affects what you see and how you see it. The application and manipulation of the invisible light spectrum. Does that make sense? So, the truth about parallel realities. Parallel reality is the act of escaping karmic debt. So this is why this wicked phenomenon exists, like magic. It exists for a couple of different reasons, but the most commonly known reason is entertainment. If you've been attacked with magic, you're going to say it's being used to sacrifice your belongings. Your belongings are being used as sacrifices. No different with hold on one second. So here's the invisible light spectrum. That's not going to blow up. And here's another display. I mean, if these aren't coming in clear, just Google it. There's a lot of visuals out there on the invisible light spectrum. This is something that the human eye can do on its own. In that video, Parallel Reality, where I was just like doing a collective consensus sort of what the phenomenon encompasses, and pretty much how I'm going to talk about, you know, these three ways in which it exists, how they all view it as something different. You know, they're all giving different. I'm going to repeat myself because my camera timed out. I was saying, like, no different than the collective. It's something like a consensus that I did on the a couple of the videos. None of the literature or articles that I read regarding parallel reality, only the videos that can be found and referenced on YouTube. I put that in nuisance neighbors category, and in that, one of the occultists that I'm going to talk about in a short while here, she was saying, and I don't know why I referenced that. Probably because it's the same thing that I'm saying, that a part of the brain is turned off to do it. It's like that restricting RNA thing that I was talking about in the past, and then what is gang stalking. So like I said, the human eye does this naturally. The government has access to binary code, which is DNA, and they make sure that we can't see all those things that we're supposed to be able to see. So anyhow, part of using this tactic to manipulate reality is they make it appear that there's light where there is none. And same, you know, the same goes the opposite way. They also make it appear to be dim where the brightest light resides. So anyhow, light is a representation of vibrational frequency. To hide mine, there are a series of daily attacks, and since they're able to control what you see, you would never have any idea that I am who I say I am, other than me making it so evident, you know, with researching research just that supports my claims, I suppose. I was going to say research and evidence, you know, that my DNA is being attacked. Here's a display of the eye. Hey, why is this showing like this? That's not good. There's two displays there. Two different angles of how the pineal gland affects what you see. It's directly connected to the eye. It's what feeds the eye. So if you're able to access the pineal gland, ideally you're able to affect what someone does and does not see. If it weren't, I'm going to talk about that in a second. Okay, they are really tearing me up right now with science and like remote neural monitoring. Not remote neural monitoring, remote neural monitoring. Like, as you can tell, even though this is scripted, I'm still having a difficult time reading. So just bear with me. Okay, regarding its existence, there's three takes on what parallel reality is: scientists, spiritualists, and covert operations. Scientists regard it as having a second chance at life, getting a chance to do something over. The acknowledgement is a matter of membranes, but not but will not disclose that membranes are the link to artificial technology. Membranes make up the dimensions of the mind. It's a mockery of the God particle. The application of membranes to those who cannot even develop brains. It's just a complete mockery. So, created races cannot naturally produce hormones and membranes that enable them to see straight, let alone invisible light. It's, like I said, a mockery that they're plain gifted. That probably should have went. The ability is a matter of DNA and RNA. By restricting RNA, you restrict what and how you see. So scientists acknowledge it as having a second chance at life, getting a chance to do something over, and that is dependent on membranes and dimensions, like, multiple dimensions of the brain. Scientists have been on the fence with admitting that timelines and dimensions represent what they represent in reality. They don't want to admit collectively that there is entities, including themselves, that exist in more than one place at the same time. They're able to be in front of you and physically watch themselves with you remotely. Instead, in mainstream media, Delta Airlines have introduced the phenomenon as magic pistols that works in unison with biometrics. The iris, also known as the eye, the pineal gland, once again affects how you see and what you see. The same technology used covertly is the explanation behind hallucinations, and they disassociated the occurrence by evolving a screen. They disassociated, something as simple as adding a screen in would disassociate the matter from being saw as a hallucination. Now they're attacking my speech. Folks are flying. This is crazy. Okay, so they're attacking my speech. So some of my words are going to slur a little bit. You've seen that in recent videos. They just started doing that. And I'm not going to talk about the combination of attacks that are being made on the mind in order to get something like that to manifest. Look. Okay, so anyhow, in mainstream media, Delta Airlines introduced the phenomenon as magic pistols. In the past, you heard me discuss screenplay a lot. This is the type of stuff that I was talking about. I was talking about my life being like my life in existence turning into a green room, where they were making it, painting it as whatever they wanted. And that's 2017, 18 time, maybe more 2018 time frame. I know I was mentioning screenplay in 2017. I just don't think in the same way or context. I had a couple of caveats from part C that I wanted to talk about. But I don't know that I'm going to get to those. Parallel computation. Parallel computation is proprietary pixel processors to efficiently coordinate a massive number of light rays in real time. So if this launch were not backed by elite members of science, it would have otherwise been noted as a delusion. It's government technology, biotechnology is an example. They never wanted to admit to having the ability to turn gene expressions on and off, nor the ability to add, because they would have to face the topic of alien implants, also known as RFID chip implants, being covertly installed at birth to apply the application of eugenics. So scientific scholars note the press associated with it as science fiction to hide covert operations. This too is government developed equipment. So I just don't want you to get over. So that's it. That's all that I have to say about how that's when it comes to science. I said there's three entities. I said there's scientists, there's spiritualists, and there's covert operations. When it comes to scientists, that's an overview. If you research multiple scientists on what they have to say about parallel reality, you're going to come up with that same overview. That's the gist on their take. Okay, so the pineal gland is instrumental in development. Created races cannot develop one without its cyst. I mentioned a manufactured pineal gland being the means to escape congenital inheritance. Biometrics works in unison with RFID chip implants. I'm not sure why I noted that right there, but I read it anyhow. Moving on to spiritualists. Okay, so spiritualists refer to it as timelines and dimensions in open acknowledgement of existing in more than one place at the same time. Now, all of them are not going to say that, and a lot of them are betting on you not knowing what timelines and dimensions mean. I just told you it means to exist in more than one place at once. So a timeline would be like multiple identities. A dimension would be like where those identities exist. So you might be a junkie, a homeless junkie in one life, a teacher in another life, a college student in another life, a laborman in another life. And, you're trying to align anyhow. A struggling mom in another life, a single dad in another life, all kind of stuff, but remember, that's what I said. It's about escaping karmic debt. Escaping karmic debt is how agents re-image the identity. They re-image the identities. Okay, again, so not all of them are going to acknowledge timelines and dimensions, but you definitely need to know what timelines and dimensions represent. And the reality of it is you're a part of timelines and dimensions. So dimensions, once again, the phenomenon is behind the law of attraction. Okay, so when you hear other spiritual, when you hear the majority of spiritualists talk about parallel reality, they're going to tell you that they're trying to align their most higher selves. They're going to tell you that they're trying to be the best version of themselves. They're going to tell you that it's about the law of attraction, coined for attracting what you desire. They want what they want in every life, and this is actually part of eliminating the lower tier. So all these things go hand in hand. I wish I could have made like one big display to show you how they're all connected, because it's like businesses and corporations, and then federal and state mandates, and then how these things play out in society, all those things around you. So that's like your local drug mart, schools, libraries, homeless shelters, anything that had colleges, anything that is a part of politics. And guess what? Everything's a part of politics. Everything is a part of the system. Okay, so one last time, dimensions is a reflection of the type of life and the identities they've taken on and what they're working on to align themselves with their higher selves in their timeline. They want to be seen the same way no matter who they're posing as. So they want to be looked at the same way no matter which identity they're using. And you see this play out a lot in teens. You see this play out a whole lot in teens. Most of the time, you don't get to witness it in your in family, in relationships and family, because they normally distance themselves before they make those changes, and it plays out in the workforce instead. You know, they want the people within their co-workers to view them a certain way. They're trying to establish a reputation. So occult type educators like Till Swan discuss dimensions and timelines. I first ran across her YouTube video in 2015 while researching law of attraction. Ralph Smart did a video with her, and if I recall correctly, that's how I discovered her. I never got into her teachings because I was offended that she was having a genetic experience that she technically could not. She's an advanced series robot who can see beyond the flesh. So when she looks at you, as she explains it, she sees the body's 11 systems, organs, and how it has to focus in order to see your facial features. I later this year found that she openly discusses timelines and dimensions in the way that I regard timelines and dimensions, confirming that they exist in more than one place. That's why I'm using her as an example. I included a portion of it in the collective video that I mentioned not too long ago. I made on parallel reality. Okay, covert operations, also known as a secret operation, better known as government operations, I have witnessed agents having dual experiences. I have witnessed agents utilizing timelines in a way where it's a version of themselves being informed. So I catch them communicating with those surveilling, and then I've also caught them being behind the computer, and it goes into that replicating themselves thing that I was talking about. And when I say replicating themselves, not with the same identity, they're going to have some of the same characteristics and traits that you've all heard of the spirit of Keisha. It has the same characteristics and the same traits. You see the same thing in them. They act a certain way, but they look different. So, anyhow, I catch them communicating like I'm being communicated with by the government. Government agencies are the ones who man the equipment used. They are the scientists and the spiritualists in reality. So what neither will reveal is what the demonic phenomenon is based on. These agents consider it a game to act like someone is not who they say they are, so they can escape the past of the identities that they're using. Remember, I said escaping karmic debt. Say there, so the escaping identities are a reflection of Satan is replicating themselves. 144,000 immortals versus 7.8 billion population. To maintain what they have or sought to advance and improve their identity. Something as simple as being in the same space as another results in DNA theft. So that's one side of the covert operation. The other side is the screenplay, and for me, it has many, many, many different faces. They lie about my location all the time. So when I take a photo, wherever it says no location at all, that means that they're implying that I'm in another state. They're showing some of my past experiences so that someone in the city can act out, can maintain a vibrational frequency and receive favor. When I get the location, let's just say 95% of the time the location is wrong. When one does show up, they're always claiming that I'm somewhere else. So what's taking place is they're looking at me, and they're looking at me work every single day, and they're applying my good karma to others so that they can receive favor. They're looking at me and claiming that I'm others. Remote inoculation, like that's corrupting the code. To get um, the light, the genetic makeup, to replicate something, that to give a false read on it is what they're doing. So when they're calling me these other people, they're calling those other people me, and they're advancing them, they're inverting them very quickly. And sometimes they go really far with suggesting that I'm not who I say I am, like swelling my face and stuff with science. I've never been in a domestic situation in my life. So they surveil and claim that my favorable behavior is theirs and apply their unfavorable behavior to me. I'm going to use the neighborhood that I live in as an example in a moment. Advancements are their reward for refusing to see me as who I am. Okay? So, one last thing about that. So you can imagine if something like that's being done, that they're ensuring that my situation stays the same while they invert them. So those that have not ever been able to attract anything are being inverted. They're now able to, do a little more than what they were doing. And meanwhile, they're ensuring that I don't reap the benefits of what I sow. It's also called sabotage. They even have a I'm not gonna hold on. Okay, so before I continue on with part E, I'm gonna make it separate because it's a part that I need to do at home. The volume and the manner, the language I'll be using in regards to the neighbors in the neighborhood. I'm going to need to do that part at home. But the last part, hold on one second. Okay, so look, there's 4 questions that I want you to ask yourself. What does it take to escape karmic debt? If our experiences are what make, that should say us, and they exist in the form of memories with tangible impressions that evoke emotions, what could assist such a change? Third, if I am who I say I am, technically I can do whatever I want because nothing can damage or permanently change my design. Why would a small street of people who come from bad pasts, many of which who have done hard drugs, try to shame me amongst themselves over a black and mild? And fourth, How did the genetically recessive evolve? You almost made me see they just said something really offensive and they're flashing images at the same time. Hold on, I'm gonna pause while I go off.